Nationwide hunger protest kicks off across the country. Kano, Borno and Yobe states impose curfews as violence mars off hunger protests. 182 persons arrested in Kaduna, Kano over looting, vandalism during nationwide protests. And on the foreign scene, 30 dead, dozens missing after torrential rain in central China. Hello and welcome to Trust TV's News Hour. I am Chiamaka Mwafo. The news. The End Bad Governance protests that began this Thursday, August 1, across the country have garnered significant attention and participation from Nigerians in the Federal Capital Territory. The demonstrations are driven by a variety of grievances against the current administration. Key demands of the protesters include the reduction of fuel prices, the reversion of tertiary education fees, restoration of affordable electricity tariffs, transparency in the salaries and allowances of government officials, and the establishment of an emergency fund to support small and medium-sized enterprises. Additionally, they are calling for reforms in the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), the reopening of national borders, and measures to address inflation and judicial reforms. Trust TV's Dorcas Yakubu tells us more in this report.
We are hungry! We are hungry! We are hungry!
Nigeria is currently experiencing the commencement of a 10-day protest that began on August 1, 2024, with citizens demonstrating against economic hardships and government policies. The protest, tagged End Bad Governance, has seen widespread participation across multiple states, including Lagos, Borno, Kano, Rivers, and the FCT. The protesters have expressed dissatisfaction with the current administration, calling for the restoration of fuel subsidies, reduction of electricity tariffs, and reversal of recent increases in educational and import fees.
We are hungry! My children cannot eat! Beans, 1 mood is 3.5. Oil is 2,000. Gari is 1.5. My children cannot. Yesterday I have to pay for the one I'm holding before and buy another one for my children to eat. I cannot tolerate it anymore.
We don't to suffer for this country. For how long continue to suffer like this? How much be our money will get for this country? We just did the suffer for this country. Now we don't tire. A small country like Burkina Faso set us stand up for that country. We Nigerians will fit to one now. The government should do what we want. They should change. They should bring down the price of fuel. We need our subsidy back. The government should not, the police should not come here to tell us what to do or where to go. We are outside. We want to get to the government and not to the police. So the government should do what we want. Bring back subsidy. Bring back subsidy. And kidnappers. And Boko Haram. Bring back subsidy.
Yes, Nigerians are out to express their fundamental rights as enshrined in Section 40 of the Constitution to assemble, associate, and protect their interests. And the protests have so far been going well, and we are here as lawyers to guide the people and to lead them to carry out their right to protest within the bounds of the law.
In Abuja, the demonstrators have been restricted to the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. This restriction follows a court order issued by Justice Silvanus Origi of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory. The order was in response to a request from the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, who cited concerns about potential unrest and damage to public property if the protests were allowed to take place elsewhere in the city. This, however, was not obeyed as protesters stormed the central business area in an attempt to enter the Eagle Square. They were, however, met by the intense resistance from security operatives.
As you can see right ahead of me, the security personnel are firing tear gases at the protesters. And the reasons is because they don't want them to exceed that limit. From our own understanding, they don't want them to exceed that limit, and that is why they are firing, the tear gas at the protesters. But then the protesters are unarmed.
The government's response in Abuja has been robust with heightened security measures aimed at preventing violence. Some arrests were made while an attempt to arrest a journalist was stopped by the FCT police PRO.
We came here and were covering the protest. And the commissioner of police personally came on. They came down on the journalists, asking us not to cover the protest. And he personally came to me and he collected my phone, and he even asked the police to get me arrested. When I was being taken into the van, some of other journalists and the public relation officer now raised alarm that this is the chairman of NUJ, that I should not be taken away.
Though the situation remains fluid with fears of potential violence, the protest, however, reflects deep-seated frustrations among Nigerians with the current state of governance and economic conditions. Dorcas Yakubu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
We move to the northwest, where thousands of people stormed the streets of Kano in protest against hunger and economic hardship across the country. The protests are calling on President Bola Tinubu to reverse fuel subsidy removal and ensure food security. Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that violent and looting were reported in some parts of the state. Here's his report.
As early as 7 a.m., residents of Kano began to troop out from different parts of the state to join the protest. Carrying placards with different inscriptions, the protesters are generally united on one common goal, targeted at forcing the federal government to reverse fuel subsidy removal and ensure food security.
Subsidy should be restored. Issue of insecurity. We thank God in Kano we are peaceful, but our neighbor, our brothers in Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi and other part of the country are in difficult situation. Their life is in danger. They cannot go to farm to produce food. So specifically, we are saying that the subsidy should, one, be restored. Secondly, the security should be restored also.
They were singing different songs while some are reciting from the Muslims' Holy Quran. According to them, this protest is necessary considering the current economic hardship occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal.
The purpose of coming out here is to protest, peaceful protest, peaceful protest. That's why we are out here. We are not fighting anybody. We want the government to bring back subsidy. They should bring back subsidy. People are dying of hunger. People are crying. People are dying. Enough is enough.
The protesters met at Kofar Nasarawa and then marched to the state road in their thousands. Although generally peaceful at the moment, but there were reports of violence and looting of both private and public properties in some part of the states. However, organizers of the protests have distanced themselves from any act of violence.
What we are ensuring the public is that this protest is purely peaceful. We have no intention to any violence. We protesters, we have zero tolerance of violence. So we are going to follow constitutional rights, which give us right to struggle, to say no to the government, to register our grievances. There are so many ways to challenge the government policies that will affect the life and livelihood of the people.
The crowd across Kano metropolis is unprecedented, and the protesters unrelenting in what they call struggle for freedom. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Still in Kano, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has imposed a 24-hour curfew in the state in a bid to check the breakdown of law and order following incidents of looting recorded during the ongoing protest. The governor will address the media after an emergency meeting with heads of security agencies said, quote, "It is with heavy hearts that I address you today regarding the unfortunate event in the names of protest which was hijacked by hoodlums and thugs." End of quote. He said this during the meeting, acknowledging that protest is a constitutional right, but urged organizers to conduct themselves in an orderly manner with a promise to receive their message and forward same to President Bola Tinubu. According to the governor, his administration has already reported those suspected of sponsoring the hoodlums to the security agencies. In the meantime, Operatives of the police in Kano have so far arrested 157 suspects in connection with the destruction of properties and looting that took over the nationwide hardship protest in the state. The Nigerian Police Force made this known in its verified Facebook page while giving updates on the situation of the protest across the country. From Kano, we go to Kaduna, where there was chaos when youths in their numbers joined their counterpart across the country to demand an end to what they termed bad governance in the country. The incident happened at the Government House, Kaduna, when the protesters besieged the Government House, calling for the reinstatement of fuel subsidy, an end to the hunger in the land, as well as insecurity. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more.
In the early hours of Thursday, most residents stay at home instead of joining the protest. Shops and banks along the busy Ahmadu Bello Way were under lock and key.
The direction in this country is this: let the president or let the government provide job for the youth. We cannot keep on depending on our father. As a man of my age, a man of 35 to 40 years, I was still under my father's roof. As I'm supposed to be. I'm a citizen of Nigeria. And as I'm standing, I'm a graduate. I don't have a job for over 4 years now. That's how I'm supposed to be. And you tell me the next day I should go to school, go to this, and after coming back from school, me in the street.
Rise to where? To the store. For the afraid of the unknown. When youth are planning to loot, not really to fight for their problems. Just take for instance, I am hungry. You that you are interviewing me, you are hungry. The soldier on the what do I call it on operation now? The police, the civil defense, everybody is hungry. But are we really planning a peaceful protest?
It's what we want and what we pray for. Because at the end of everything, there is every expectation behind it, of which we need a change, a positive change from our government and our leaders. Because the situation on ground now is not benefiting to the masses.
Those shops were under lock and key. Food traders were, however, seen at the market guarding their property against vandals.
We are here for us to protect our business here and our people. As you can see, the time was not reached by now, but we are just even here for maybe 10. You can come here, you can see.
My own bar, hungry day for ground. Don't be so. People die. People they die. People they die. Food will cost. No fit to buy food. People they die. Like now, if you shop today, tomorrow no go shop. Some people they drink water. Go sleep. 5 days now, I never shop. Me and my children.
It was a different story towards the afternoon, as protesters came out en masse, especially within the metropolis.
What brought us here is to show the government that they failed roughly. Because what we are facing now is beyond our reasonable doubt. There is no insecurity, there is not food security, there is all this subsidy scam is beyond our reasonable doubt. We want government to intervene in all this. Hungry are killing people. Poverty is not a destiny. Let this thing stop. Yes. Let this thing stop. Yes. Poverty is not a destiny. We want government.
We are here for protest. We want a liter of fuel to return to 65 naira per liter and price of rice to come down. We need security. In northern Nigeria, people are being killed on daily basis.
We need security to be improved. Cost of living is high and our leaders are aware of everything.
Yes, so far we have a different set of people. Like we've been expecting, we know the government, the pro-government side might try to hijack the protest from us. But then we are doing all we can to try and coordinate and let people understand that it's very, very important we carry out our protest lawfully.
Several gunshots and tear gas rent the air within the metropolis as police dispersed protesters who besieged the government house. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Still on Kajal, the police command has said it has arrested 25 suspects involved in violent attacks on government agencies. The command spokesman, ASP Masir Hassan, disclosed the arrest on Thursday, noting that some of the apprehended individuals are members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria. Among the items recovered from the suspects were an AK-47 rifle, live ammunition, a jackknife, and a police camouflage uniform. Some of the arrested individuals were found in possession of these items, raising concerns about the extent of the planned violence. The arrests come amid heightened tensions and protests in Kaduna, which have seen a series of violent incidents targeting government buildings and officials. The police say they have stepped up efforts to maintain order and prevent further destruction of public property. ASP Hassan emphasized the importance of maintaining peace and warned against any actions that could exacerbate the situation. He urged the public to remain calm and cooperate with law enforcement officers, assuring them that the police are committed to safeguarding lives and property.
That is why we are drawing the attention of the public, since that some bad elements are trying to hijack this protest. But at the end of the day, we just start seeing them trying to hijack, trying to attack the government house. You have seen how they have destroyed our armor car to attack the government house. Like this. You have seen it. We have arrested some of them. Yes, and definitely we cannot allow anybody, any destruction, any violence protest. Nobody will take it.
Still in the Northwest, over in Katsina State, despite several pleas and meetings with relevant stakeholders on the need for residents to shun the hunger protest, youths in the state on Thursday joined others across the country to protest against insecurity, fuel subsidy removal, uncontrolled inflation, and the continuous devaluation of the naira. The youth groups from different parts of Katsina State trooped out in large numbers, chanting solidarity songs and displaying placards with different inscriptions against some of the federal government's economic policies. Abdullah Yamadi completes the report.
At first, the demonstrators across the ancient city of Katsina were moving peacefully towards the government house with the aim of presenting their grievances to the state government. From the city center to the government reserved area, the youth were seen carrying placards saying no to injustice, no to corruption, insecurity and bad governance, and also asking the government to restore fuel subsidy and provide sufficient food to all Nigerians.
I'm talking on behalf of all the youth that are living in Nigeria, because I'm a youth from Katsina, Kaduna. All of us, we are fighting for the same thing. We are fighting poverty. Government is supposed to do something about this one, because they turn our children into a man. Because you can see 9 years child begging for a food, struggling for a food on how to survive. I will not agree with that hardship life. The government must return our fuel subsidy and labor subsidy.
However, on reaching the last roundabout, which was a few meters away from the government house, the youth converged there and tried to push their way to the government house, and in the process destroyed billboards while pelting stones at security personnel. Moving in complete resistance, armed security personnel fired tear gas to disperse the protesters, who are desirous of good governance and also alleging that their future has been mortgaged by insensitive leaders.
We are ready to sacrifice our life for the development of our nation. We can't leave this thing to continue like that. Our federal was in village and those kidnappers are killing them.
However, These young children who are between the ages of 15 to 25 are mobilizing and regrouping at different locations, promising that they will not relent until their voices are heard and listened to by the Gikoradas administration. Several arrests were made by the police and other security agencies.
Creeks and corners of the state, especially in Katsina State, and I have authorized my area commanders and DPOs in local government to be up and doing. We will not relent on our effort. If we need any reinforcement, we have men on the ground, and we promise that we will abide by that promise that I made, that we will protect the property and the life of Katsina people.
Elsewhere, inside the government house was an annual prayer session organized by Islamic clerics from various groups and sects seeking for divine intervention from the current economic predicament. Beyond that, civil society organizations presented a letter to the acting governor Faruk Lawal Jobi for onward submission to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, asking the government to end insecurity, hunger, and starvation in the land. The letter highlighted the significance of adopting new strategies which will holistically address insecurity in the northwest region. Public commentators in Katsina State are saying, now that the government succeeded in repelling the planned protest, it is left for the political actors now than ever before to address the issues at stake or risk the consequences of unorganized demonstrations, where masses are forced to troop out of the street, which may be difficult to control. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Over in the northeast, in Yobe State, the government has imposed a 24-hour curfew in Potiskum, Gusau and Nguru towns. The decision, according to the special advisor to the governor on security matters, Brigadier General Dahiru Abdulsalam, retired, is as a result of hoodlums taking advantage of the protest to vandalize and loot government and private properties. In the statement, Abdulsalam urged the public to abide by the curfew order and stay at home for peace to reign in the areas and the state at large. He added that security agencies have been directed to ensure enforcement and full compliance to the curfew. The Borno state government has imposed a 24-hour curfew in the capital city of Maiduguri following hunger protests that escalated around the metropolis on Thursday. The protests took place in different locations in the state capital, with some protesters resorting to violence. Trust TV's Beatrice Kurusi tells us more.
As we are aware, this morning, some people came out to protest in the street. And on the eve of this protest, the Boko Haram attacked a village called Malari in Konduga local government, where 16 people lost their lives and over 20 people were seriously injured, and they are receiving treatment at the State Specialist Hospital, Maiduguri. This is exactly what the Borno State government fears. The risk of infiltration of any peaceful democratic protest by our citizens, the risk of infiltration by violent non-state actors is always there, and it has already happened. In order to avert any future infiltration by violent non-state actors, the Borno State government has taken a firm decision to impose the curfew.
Over in Gombe State, despite assurances by many organizations that they will not take part in the planned protest, many were seen across the streets of Gombe participating in the protest. The protesters, who gathered at the Gombe main roundabout, later went to the government house with the hope tabling their grievances to the state governor. However, some miscreants who started throwing stones at government house forced security operatives to disperse the protesters. Hassan Kooli was there for Trust TV and now reports.
Initially, the demonstration started peacefully with security operatives guarding the protesters. The protesters marched through Biu Street in Gombe and later went to the government house entrance. The demonstrators were seen carrying placards with inscriptions such as "End Bad Governance," "Mufarka Arewa," and "Hunger Will Kill Us."
Our social institutions have been perverted into corruption. The political leader, the religious leader, our preachers, they are all going to the political leaders and collect the bribery. They should just go and start preaching to us that we should not organize any protest. This is the end. We need revolution. We need a good system of government. Poverty, issue of kidnapping. And we don't know what kind of system of government those Nigerian political leaders are practicing.
We are suffering. People are dying. Hungry take place. Hungry take place. People are crying. 90% of that building. Nobody take breakfast. Even breakfast.
What question I want to ask you? Have I bought Commissioner of Police? Have I bought for him to come and lead me? I vote for Governor to come and lead me, and I am suffering. But people are dying. My question is, he have to listen to me.
They are jobless.
He is here jobless. You have to listen.
Somewhere, if you see the demonstration of this youth, you know what we are into is very pathetic. There is no any system of government. The system in which government imply upon us is ineffective, and it is very harmful to us. What we need is, we need a new strategy. We need a new system of government that will be very effective to us, that we will know we have some people who are there in the arms of power that are representing us. That is what we need. We are very disappointed in our representatives. We are very disappointed in the system of government presently now, because we are not feeling any sense of government.
In Gombe town, protesters reportedly burned tires while security personnel worked to calm the situation. Some of the protesters threw stones at the gates of government house but were dispersed by the security operatives. From Gombe, Hassan Koli reporting for Trust TV.
Still in the northeast, over in Bauchi State, the nationwide protest against rising hunger in the state ended on a violent note on the first day of the demonstrations as protesters burnt tires and destroyed billboards within the state capital amidst tight security, protecting government institutions and other properties. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports that the protest started around 10 a.m. from Run Road to the Emir's Palace, leading to the CBN roundabout. The report.
The End Bad government protesters trooped out in their numbers from the famous Wunti roundabout back to Emir's Palace, where they were dispersed by security personnel. They later destroyed billboards and burned tires, forcing security agents to fire tear gas on the crowd. We are here to demand for our right through legitimate and peaceful protest without destruction of life and property. They should find a lasting solution to our plight. Nigeria's constitution guarantees us the right to peaceful protest devoid of harassment from law enforcement officers. Honestly, the truth of the matter is that the security personnel started dispersing people with tear gas from the beginning. We come out from the Emir's Palace to the government house to conduct the protest in peaceful manner, but they blocked us. The irony is that we are in this suffering together with the security personnel who are stopping us because we shop from the same market, but they may not appreciate that we are fighting for their good as well. As far as the protest is concerned, we did not intend to touch anybody's property. One of the leading protest groups in the state, while addressing journalists at the press center, described the situation as unfortunate, saying that was not the intention of the organizers. They, however, called on the president to address the needs of the protesters, as well as address the issue of oil and gas discovery in Kolomani River that has lingered for the past 2 years ago.
The final decision that our organization and other organizations that ally themselves with us is that we have pulled out of the protest And we have sent a strong message to Mr. President, particularly on the issue of coal mining. He made the promise to us, and almost 2 years now, nothing is happening in coal mining.
The group further attributed what transpired during the hunger protest in the state to negligence on the part of the leadership of the country. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
As thousands of youth staged a nationwide protest to end bad governance, Adamawa State witnessed parallel peaceful protests with security personnel taking over major streets across the state. While the End Bad Governance group called for solutions to end rising cost of living, the pro-Tinubu team commended what they described as the laudable policies and programs of the president. Gibson Swadigo reports.
The pro-Tinubu supporters and the End Bad Governance team simultaneously held their peaceful rallies across the streets of Yola, the Adamawa State capital. Each group was accompanied by the Joint Security Task Force as major streets were taken over by different security teams tasked to protect the lives and property of law-abiding citizens. Even though the protest was peaceful, banks, shops and other commercial areas remained closed with little or no activity in some residential areas. The pro-Tinubu group, which held a long procession from the police runabout to Ribado Square, where they held a rally in support of the president, displayed placards with pro-government inscriptions.
The president is at the helm of affairs on the issue of the crisis rocking the country, and I believe he's going to do something about it. And I want to say one thing again. In life, there's a good aspect of a human being and there's a bad aspect of it. We would like to appreciate the president on the issue of local government autonomy. He did a good job there. It is our prayer that the governors and the chairmen do the needful to the grassroots, to the people at the grassroots. And secondly, if you look at the issue of the student loan, it's another plus to him because it will be of help to the students at the same time.
The leaders of the End Bad Governance group, Ibrahim Bappa Waziri, a former state lawmaker, and Jonathan Ladi said their reason for staging the protest is to call on the government to address insecurity, inflation, poverty, and food shortage. They added that if the president conceded to these critical demands, they will have no reason to remain on the roads.
If the government can come out today and say, yes, we are revaluing the naira, we are tackling insecurity, we are returning the subsidy in education, in health, in electricity, in whatever, to be honest with you, Nigerians will be happy and will go out of this street, will not protest any longer.
Until our demands are met, we are not going to fall our arms and see selective fight against corruption. If anybody is wrong, the government should take action, irrespective of who he is. We cannot continue to live like this. Subsidy.
The End Bad Governance group had given notice of the planned protest weeks ago. Gibson Swadigo, Trust TV News, Yola.
This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Up ahead, more stories on the nationwide hunger protest across the country. More when we return. Please do stay with us.
And they actually knew the answer.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Now a recap of our top stories. We told you that nationwide hunger protest kicks off across the country. We also informed you that in Kano, Borno and Yobe states, curfews have been imposed as violence mars hunger protests. Two more stories. At least 6 people have been reportedly killed, while some sustained injuries in the ongoing protest in Suleja, Niger State. The victims were said to have been killed while security operatives were struggling to dislodge a group of protesters who mounted a barricade on a section of Abuja-Kaduna highway. Some policemen who were around the barricade could not control the youths who outnumbered them. However, a reinforcement team was sent to the scene where pandemonium occurred. In the meantime, the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, has confirmed the killings in Suleja area of Niger State, vowing to take action. The chairman of the Suleja branch of the NBA, Abdullah Yeliman, said he had gone to the residence of one of the deceased, Yahaya Nda Isa, to get credible information for further action as directed by the national president of the NBA. Meanwhile, NBA President Yakubu Chunuku has directed chairpersons in all 130 NBA branches across the country to monitor the protest, saying the measures were in recognition of the fundamental and guaranteed constitutional rights of citizens to assemble and protest. We go to Plateau State, where former Minister of Youth and Sports Solomon Dalong this Thursday led the hunger protest held at the popular Old Airport Junction roundabout and Federal Secretariat Junction in Jos North and Jos South local government areas of the state. The planned nationwide protest, scheduled to hold from August 1 to 10, is an avenue for Nigerians to vent their anger over the high cost of living in the country. Trust TV's Ado Musa was at the venue of the protest, files in this report.
Despite the state government and other groups ordering people to shun the protest in the state, hundreds of residents came out in large numbers to voice their concerns over the high cost of living and insecurity in the country, which they describe as unbearable. In Plateau, a former Minister of Youth and Sport, while addressing the protesters, said Nigerians are suffering. Some governors said we should not participate in the protest, but it is our constitutional right to participate in demonstrations like this one. Look at the security personnel they have deployed to all places today. Why can't the government deploy them to places like Zamfara and other crisis areas? If Tinubu wants us to stop the protest, he should reverse the subsidy.
He knows why we put him there. So he should hear the cry of the masses and do what is better. The subsidy, electricity, hunger and starvation, insecurity, and so on and so forth. Not to mention,
because when Goodluck Jonathan was the president of Nigeria, Tinubu and Buhari led a same protest in Lagos, challenging Goodluck Jonathan not to remove the fuel subsidy. But the moment President Tinubu was voted into power, the first thing he did was to remove the fuel subsidy. And the removal of that fuel subsidy has brought untold hardship on Nigerians.
We are here in hunger, we are here tattered. Imagine, these people gathered here, the population itself tells you a story. We are more than 10,000 people here gathered to protest against bad governance. So please, please and please, if the president is listening to me right now, he should take note that the people are hungry. People are the hunger itself cannot be expressed.
The nationwide protest, which commenced on Thursday, is expected to last for 10 days. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Let's go down south. Protesters in Lagos took to the street to express their frustration with the hunger and hardship across the country, following the government's decision to withdraw subsidy on petrol. During the hunger protest, demonstrators demanded the reduction in the cost of governance, reduction in fuel price, opening of borders to access more food, amongst others. Aishat Abdullahi for Trust TV.
On the first day of the protest, hundreds of residents gathered to voice their frustrations over the persistent economic hardship in Nigeria. This protest, organized by the Take It Back movement, is a response to the rising cost of living and the increasing price of essential goods. Protesters carried placards with messages such as "End economic hardship" and "We deserve better." The protest here in Lagos is part of a larger movement with similar demonstrations happening across the country.
Our salaries are not increasing. Even if fuel is going to the sky, why is the government? Does the government want to tell us now that they are clueless? The government is not clueless now, and the reason why they don't care is because they're not feeling it. Because we are here stressed about buying malt for 700 naira. They don't care. They don't buy. They don't even know the price of gari. They don't even know the price of rice. But now we are telling them as citizens that we want a change. We want a change that is non-negotiable.
We are not happy with what is going on in our country, Nigeria. We want them to reduce the cost of food. It's too high. It's killing us. We can no longer afford 3 square meals a day. They should return fuel subsidy. Return fuel subsidy. That is all we are asking for. We can no longer cope with this punishment. It's too much.
Keep dying of hunger. If you go to some more families, some people cannot even afford to eat once a day. So if we don't come out like this to talk, to speak out our mind, the government will not wake up.
Some police armored personnel carrier, APC, several police patrol vehicles were strategically stationed by the side of the road while policemen stood guard to avoid a breakdown of law and order. The demonstration was orderly with no reports of violence or clashes.
When Nigerians are out to express their displeasure about the economic situation, hike in price and stuff like that. So that's what we are doing here. We are Nigerians, we are outside, okay, for our own fundamental rights, for the government to hear us.
The process continues on Friday, which will be the second out of the planned 10 days.
Over at the South, residents of Delta State on Thursday hit the streets to participate in the #EndBadGovernance in Nigeria protest in Asaba, the state capital. Now, protesters were seen marching through Nebisi Road before converging at Interbua roundabout, from where they proceeded through the Nebisi Road to Main Market in Ogbe Ogonogo. Prior to their departure from Interbua roundabout, police and soldiers blocked them, attempting to restrict their movement within the Interbua roundabout. Asaba City was completely locked down as shops, businesses, markets and offices in the city were completely under lock and key. Trust TV crew observed that most of the businesses were shut down over fear of looting by some hungry protesters. They said the protest is a response to various issues including economic hardship, corruption and poor governance.
We are suffering. If we make money, we are not doing Yahoo, we are not into crime. We are not committing any crime. It's not a crime to be in Nigeria. How can we be in our country? We cannot build house. We cannot buy land. If you have 10 kobo, you cannot use it. Even our police, you see now, working morning till night, working from January to December. Their salary is nothing to write home about.
The protest in Asaba presently remains very peaceful. But what is worrying for us is the uncoordinated nature and the refusal of the organizers of this protest to abide by certain rules and the laws of the land. The law says that they should converge at a point. But what we have seen are different groups. At the last count, 5 different uncoordinated groups. And this might lead to a breakdown of law and order. So our appeal is simply to the organizers and to the protesters: abide by the rules, play by the laws of the land, and converge in a place and ensure that your protest, which is constitutionally guaranteed, remains peaceful.
Southeast, where residents of Imo State on Thursday joined their counterparts across the nation to participate in the nationwide protest by staying away from their businesses as they all sat at home, leaving business activities grounded. Though the residents were not physically seen guarded in any location in their number as it was the manner in other states that took part in the protest, their absence from business premises speaks volume. Here's the report.
Some residents who spoke to Trust TV said although the protests come with challenges such as crippling businesses across the state, the exercise, according to them, is worth the while, considering the challenges being faced by the masses.
Because of the protests, people are doing sit at home today because nobody wants to lose he or her life. You understand? Because of this protest, because they ask everybody to sit at home, so that's why people are sitting at home, and which we are not happy. I think the federal government have meet up to our demand. This thing wouldn't have been happening right now.
We don't need to go out today. We don't need to join the protest. Yes, there is hunger everywhere. There's inflation in every country. So I don't see the reason for this protest. The federal government has been trying, the governor has been trying to curtail the pressure. I don't think it's fit for anybody to go out to protest.
Others who spoke said majority of those who should have taken part in the protest did not come following heavy security presence and the level of insecurity that has continued to ravage the state lately.
I believe most persons did not go out for their normal business today because of maybe they feel that when they go out for their business that they might be protesting and not the Imo State law go down protest.
Some said an earlier broadcast that the protest has been postponed to the 1st of October equally contributed to why some did not take part in it.
My appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is for him to sit down and analyze these problems. I know there is inflation all over the world, but I believe they can still do something. It's not about giving people palliative. It's all about knowing what to do at the right time.
It is first day of the protest, and the people are hopeful that the demonstration will grow in strength as days goes by. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Let's get to business, where the Nigerian equities market opened the new month in red, as on Thursday recorded the highest daily decline in the protest week. For the fourth consecutive day, the market decreased by 0.42% at the close of trading session. Aggrieved Nigerian youths on Thursday, August 1, took to the streets across major cities of Africa's most populous nation in line with their planned 10-day protest against bad governance and hunger. Lagos-based Meristem Research had told its clients ahead of Thursday's trading that it was closely monitoring the situation and provide further communication depending on the development of the protest. And away from Nigeria, at least 30 people have reportedly died, while 35 have been declared missing in central China. State media reported on Thursday, following days of torrential rain that lashed the country earlier this week. The downpours were triggered by Typhoon Gaimi, which moved from the Philippines and Taiwan to make landfall in eastern China a week ago, with Heili, landlocked Hunan province, hit particularly hard. More than 11,000 people have been evacuated from the city of Zhejiang after some areas endured record rainfall of 645 millimeters in just 24 hours. And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour tonight. For more of our news, programs and documentaries, please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. We now leave you with visuals of the ongoing nationwide protests. Good night.
people, we are what? Kidnapped. I couldn't do the truth and what? And in Katsina State, they are still in captivity.
This is not going to you had the best one, please. That's why I'm here. Listen to me. Yes, sir. Go to the bush and let us do it. Please. If you are disputing any fear, make it a trouble. You should have asked me. Let's go down. Let's go down. Wait.
Adam